Now, the today's class, in the last classes, we have started discussing the refrigerants and gone through different type of refrigeration itself. Different type of refrigerant which comes into the heading of we have discussed the ideal desirable property of ideal refrigerant and what is the classification of refrigerant. We have solved that they are classified as primary and secondary refrigerant. They have classified as primary and secondary refrigerants, and then we have discussed the primary refrigerant, which is classified into organic refrigerant, azeotrophic refrigerant, and inorganic refrigerant. Next is hydrocarbon refrigerant. And after this discussion, let us go through what is the thermodynamic properties of the refrigerants. Thermodynamic as well as physical and chemical properties. What will be the boiling temperature? The boiling temperature of the refrigerant of the refrigerants at atmospheric pressure should be very low. So, in a normal atmospheric pressure, in a normal condition like say your surroundings and so, the boiling temperature, the temperature at which the refrigerant should be converted from liquid to boiling state should not be high enough. It's still supposed to be low. If the boiling temperature refrigerant is very high, then the compressor we have to operate at high vacuum because we have to compress the refrigerant to a high temperature and pressure. The high boiling temperature reduces the capacity and operating cost of the system. The following capacity and cost and increases the operating cost of the system. It is reduces the capacity means it's COP means you have to impart more amount of work and thus operating cost will increase. The following table shows the boiling temperature of atmospheric pressure of some commonly used refrigerants. Say R11 to that is 23.77. R12 is minus. It is not even more than 0 degrees centigrade, but is less than 0 degrees centigrade. 9 degrees, minus 41 or 22. 30 is 39.8. 40 this is 43.7. In all these cases, we have it is around less than 50 and around even less than 30. Only except R30, which is 39.8 degree centigrade temperature. And there are so many refrigerants which is being boiled or converted into vapor at minus 29, at minus 26, at minus 33, and minus 73, and minus 10. And very low or close to the 0 degree as R114 is equal to plus 33.6. So more or less our refrigerants which we are using at present have of low boiling point because it is close to the 0 degree centigrade, which is the freezing point of water itself, and much lower than the boiling point of water. And freezing temperature. The freezing temperature of the refrigerant should be well below the evaporator temperature. But because the vapor refrigerant is converted to the liquid refrigerant at the condenser, and from the condenser, it is evaporated, it is converted from liquid to the vapor refrigerant. So, at the evaporating temperature, at the evaporator, the liquid refrigerant evaporates or turns back into the vapor refrigerant, means it's boiled. Means this is the boiling temperature at different refrigerant here, right, which is used in the evaporator. It is to be the evaporator temperature. Next, the freezing temperature of the refrigerant should be well below the operating operating evaporator temperature, because the freezing temperature of the most of the freezing temperature मतलब क्या है? Freezing is where the vapor refrigerant is converted to liquid refrigerant is converted to the solid refrigerant or liquid vapor refrigerant like this. So the freezing temperature of a refrigerant should be well below the operating evaporator temperature. Operating evaporator temperature. Now, after the compression, every refrigerant is supposed to be compressed and converted from should be every refrigerant should be received in the compression in a vaporized state. It is converted to the it is compressed to the boiling state from where it is condensed to the liquid state in the condenser. So the operating temperature should be at the condenser will be according to this temperature, where the freezing temperature is the every evaporator at the liquid state is being evaporated, reduced, left its essence heat, receives the essence heat to this, from the surroundings and got evaporated from liquid to the gator. So the freezing temperature should be well below the operating evaporator temperature. Thus, the freezing temperature of most of the refrigerant is below 35 degrees, and therefore the property is taking into consideration only low temperature operation. The following table is the freezing temperature of some common refrigerants, which is the R11, -11, -120, 157, 135, 195, -35 or so. Next, evaporator and condenser pressure. Next, here goes to the pressure of the evaporator and condenser. Both the evaporator and evaporating low side and condensing high side pressure should be positive. That is above atmospheric pressure. They are not below the atmospheric pressure, will be negative. And it should be as near to the atmospheric pressure as possible. So if it is more or less equal, you don't have to compress it to a high degree. The corrosive pressure is necessary to prevent leakage of air and moisture in the refrigeration system. So that as the pressure of the system is higher than the atmospheric pressure, nothing will come from the atmosphere to the refrigerating system. And but refrigerants can be leaked to the surroundings, but nothing will be leaked from the surroundings to the refrigerating system. Nothing will be leaked to the refrigerant system from the surrounding. Now, what happens? It also permits better detection of leaks. Means any leak from the refrigerant system that's come out, it can be checked by using the soap solution in order to detect the bubbling. Too high evaporating and condensing pressures above atmosphere would require stronger refrigerant equipment, that is compressor, evaporator, and condenser. It should not be very high, but it should be higher. If it is too high, we will require much higher rated compressor, higher capacity evaporator and condenser, regularly resulting in high initial cost. So here the table shows the evaporating and condensing pressures and the compression ratio for various refrigerants when operated in the standard cycle of minus 15 degrees centigrade and plus 30 degrees centigrade. So evaporating and condensing temperature, condensing pressures. For R11 evaporating pressure at minus 15 degrees centigrade, this is 0.2 to 21, 0.182. This is less than the atmosphere. It is more, less, more like this. Here, the condensation pressure is more than the atmospheric pressure, which is taken as equal to 1 bar and 1 atmosphere, 1 bar. So condenser pressure, which is the pressure at the outlet equal to the pressure the outlet of the compressor, is more than definitely at surrounding temperature. It is 1.2, 7.45 is pretty high, 12.3 3 bar in, that's also quite high. Others are not that high, but more than 1. But these pressures are not slightly less than the atmospheric pressure. So should be positive above atmosphere, but these are all positive, definitely. So these are above atmospheric pressure, but not high. This is the highest difference between the atmospheric pressure from 1, and this is the above atmospheric pressure. This is the maximum part 71 atmospheric in bar in the condenser pressure. The compression ratio should be here, means the pressure of the compressor divided by pressure of the evaporator, pressure of the condenser divided by pressure of the evaporator. Here, which is the maximum, is 9.0, means almost 9 times you have to increase the pressure. And others are more or less less, which is equal, this is the lowest here, that is 3.14 for 788. There is very little increase if pressure is required, because there's condenser pressure high, and this is the difference is around 3%. This is more than 3 times than that of the 1.93 divided by 22.9390 is equal to 3.14. Then 1.2607 divided by 0.2 is equal to 6.24. This is the pressure, this pressure PC divided by the this pressure PE, which is equal to this ratio. The reciprocating compressors are used with refrigerant having low specific volume, high refrigerant operating pressure, and high operating pressure and high operating ratio. The centrifugal compressors are used with refrigerant having high specific volume, low operating pressures, and low pressure ratio. Next, the critical temperature and pressure. The critical temperature of a refrigerant is highest temperature at which can be considered to a liquid, condensed to a liquid, regardless of higher pressure. It is the highest pressure at which it is condensed from liquid, but there is it regardless of the higher pressure. This should be the above the highest condensing temperature that must be encountered. If the critical pressure of refrigerant is too near their desired condensing temperature, the excessive power consumption results. The following, the table shows the critical temperature and pressure, which is critical temperature pressure of the commonly used refrigerant. So, critical temperature is the temperature at which the refrigerant will be converted from liquid to gas or gas to liquid without releasing any latent heat. That this is the highest temperature it can be condensed, which it can be condensed into a liquid, and or regardless of the higher pressure itself. The highest condensing temperature that can be encountered. If the critical temperature is too near to the desired condensing temperature, and the excessive power consumption is required because you have to increase the temperature to that extent. The following table, the relative the critical temperature of the most of the common refrigerant is well above the normal condensing temperature, and with the exception of carbon dioxide, whose critical temperature is 0.31. So here, critical temperature and pressure of different chemicals are given. Critical pressure here, critical temperature is here, and it is shown that it's well above the condensing temperature, normal condensing temperature. Now, coefficient of performance and power, COP and power requirements. For an ideal refrigerant operating between -50°C evaporator pressure temperature and 30° condenser temperature, -50° condenser evaporator, 30° condenser, the theoretical coefficient COP will be around 5. Theoretical coefficient COP will be given by the formula T2 by T1 by T2, here by T2 minus T3. This is given by the reverse Carnot cycle is equal to 5.74. The following table shows the values of theoretical coefficient of performance of power per ton refrigerant for the sum or some common refrigerant between -15° to +30°. So here all these different refrigerants is refrigerant, all their COP is given, and the kilowatt power required per ton of refrigeration is also given. And here we see the kilowatt required per ton is less than 1, and here COP is around 5, maximum is 5, and others are less. And minimum is R7%, this is minimum COP 2.57. We see that R1 is the coefficient of performance equal to 5.009, which is the closest to the Carnot value of 5.74. The other refrigerants have also quite high volume of critical refrigerant performance, except R77. Which is says COP is much less than the others, almost half, and power requirement is equal to 1.72, which is clearly pretty less. This is due to that COP is low critical points, 30% of the condensing temperature are very low, in which a 30°, to which it is 30°. Practically all common refrigerants proceed the same coefficient performance and power requirement. Latent heat of vaporization. The vapor refrigerant should have a high latent heat of vaporization at the evaporator temperature, and high latent heat results in high refrigerating effect per kg, since it will consume much higher amount of heat from the surrounding of the coils of the evaporator, and that it will create it cooler and cooler. The high latent heat in high refrigerating effect per kg after it is circulated flow, which reduces the mass of refrigerant to the calculated part term of the refrigeration itself. Figure shows the refrigerating effect for the same for the common refrigerant operating with -50°C to evaporator to +30°C condenser pressure. And it also shows the mass of refrigerant, calculated part term refrigerant, and the value of the refrigerant part term of refrigerant. The specific volume. The specific volume of the refrigerant vapor at the evaporator temperature, volume of fraction pressure, vapor to the compressor. The specific volume means volume per unit mass. Specificity of the refrigerant vapor at critical evaporating temperature, that is volume suction of amount of the volume suction of the vapor to the compressor, indicates the theoretical resistance of the compressor. How much volume you are sucking, and if it is equal to the amount of swept volume of the compressor, it will become the theoretical displacement of the compression. The reciprocity compressors are used with refrigerant having high pressures and low volume in the suction vapor. The centrifugal or turbo compressors are used with refrigerant having low pressure and high volume of the suction vapor. These rotary compressors are used with refrigerant having immediate uh, pressure and the volume of the suction vapor. Thus figure the specific volume of the refrigerant vapor in cubic meter per kg. The amount of volume of this refrigerant per unit, amount of volume of the refrigerant per unit per kg of the refrigerant system. So what is given here? The specific volume of the refrigerant at 15 degrees centigrade vapor displacement for standard ton of refrigerant is 1.016. Let us go to the chemical properties. The chemical properties of the refrigerants are as flammability, the ability to form, to burn into the tendency to burn. We have hydrocarbon refrigerant we have discussed, and the proper property, but and which is highly highly inflammable. Ammonia is the somewhat inflammable and become explosive when mixed with air in the ratio of 65 to 25. Again, ammonia is inflammable, but maximum difficulty is a highly explosive. It should be mixed with the air of ratio 16 to 25 degree of gas by volume. This high volume, this halocarbon refrigerant are neither visible or not explosive. Like toxicity means how much it can contaminate the surroundings. The toxicity of refrigerant may be of prime and secondary importance, including uh, depending of the um, the toxicity of the element may be prime or secondary importance depending on the application. Some of the non-toxic elements, the fluorocarbon refrigerant, are mixed with that low pressure or type saturated toxic. Then the following table shows the above relative toxicity of the common refrigerant based upon the concentration and exposure time required to produce serious result. So we have different refrigerant R11 to R764. Their combination law, their concentration is in air to produce serious rate is duration of explosive is produces commodity. Now, here R77, this one, and R64, this one, are sulfur dioxide are highly toxic. These refrigerants also have strong initiation, strong irritation. Therefore, these refrigerants are not to use as a domestic refrigerator and comfort air conditioner. Use of toxic refrigerant only limited to cold storages. So what we are seeing, R77 here, the solubility of water. From this table, what is visible is R77 and R64 and highly toxic. They are also strong irritants. Therefore, these excellents are not used in domestic refrigerators. That is R77 or R164. Following the relative process structure. Solubility of water. Water is only highly soluble at R12. At minus 80 degrees centigrade, it will hold 6 parts per million of weight. The solution form is very slightly corrosive to any of the common results. The solubility of water with R22 is more than R12 by ratio 3:1. If the more water is present, that can be discernible by the end user by grade. Gas should be filled with ice should be formed with the chokes, the expansion valves or capillary valves are throttling to the system. This must be avoided today by the proper dehydration and proper refrigerating unit of charging, and that by the use. The silica and gel guided in any kind to ammonia is high soluble water. Due to this, a weighted cross is put at the point of leak to avoid harm to process persons working in ammonia refrigerating plant. Just 1 second, please. I'm coming from toilet. Let us continue again. The toxicity we have discussed may be of primary or secondary importance, but depends on the application itself, depends on how much you are being exposed to the refrigerant. Some non-toxic refrigerant, fluorofluorofluorine, when mixed with a certain percent of the air become toxic. So in the prime condition, it may be toxic, but if you mix with oxygen, it may become toxic itself. Here we have got a table here. Which is given as which is toxicity based upon the concentration and exposure time required. These are the different refrigerants. Concentration to air to produce serious effect percentages by volume. That is, which means what? The certain amount, if it is mixed by a certain amount with the air, it may have toxic values or serious effects. So percentage by volume, say if it is more than 10% by volume, with mixture with the air, 28%, 18 to 22, 5 to 25, so and so. So here you see R40, R716. It has been mixed with very small amount, only 0.5 to 0.6% by volume. Even 0.7 viruses, if it is mixed with the air, it will become very much toxic. And duration in minutes, in 120 minutes, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, half an hour, 102 hours. Here, half an hour, even only 5 minutes for 164. If you are exposed, it can consent serious harm to your effect. Means only 0.7% by volume. If it is exposed only less than or equal to 5%, that will cause a problem for you. So underwriters, private number group is only 1. Since higher the number, like say 6, it is durational, it is less toxic because it requires 2 hours of exposure to make toxic, and it should be considerable high amount of volume is required to be mixed with air, only then become toxic. So if there is a leakage from your refrigerating system, the leakage should be extremely high in order to cause problem for your health, and you have to be exposed to a considerably high amount, say 2 hours, if we use this with R12. But R764, it is extremely small amount of duration is required sufficient with very small amount of pressure amount is mixed with the air, then it will cause your serious health problem. So R717, what is R717? Is ammonia, and 176 sulfur dioxide. So sulfur dioxide is seriously toxic, SO2. SO2 and 717 is ammonia. So sulfur dioxide is seriously toxic and highly toxic. Are highly toxic. Both ammonia and sulfur dioxide are given as highly toxic because for ammonia only 0.6 to 0.5% by volume is sufficient for a toxic mixture, and that too comparatively high, but only half an hour. Well, that's not very high, so it is just grade 2. But for sulfur dioxide, only 0.7 with a mixture with only 5 minutes exposure is sufficient, is extremely toxic for your health. All these refrigerants are extremely irritant, strong irritant, because these are not used in domestic and comfort air conditioning. They are used only for limited use. We have limited use in cold storage because of this toxic test. Then solution of water. Solubility of water. Water is only slightly soluble in R12, and at -12, 18 degrees centigrade will hold 6 parts per million per R². So extremely small amount of refrigerant is soluble to water. The solution formed is very highly corrosive to any of the covered metals. Means if some water leaks into inside your refrigerant system, it is extremely corrosive to the surroundings of the metals. Solubility of water is R22 is more than 12, a ratio of 3:1. If more water is present, it can be dissolved by the refrigerant. The ice will be formed, which chokes the expansion valve or capillary valve used for throttling in the system. This may be avoided by the proper dehydration of the refrigerating unit valve before charging and by the use of silica gel dryer of the liquid line. The ammonia is highly soluble in water. Due to this reason, a wet cloth is put at the point of leakage to avoid harm to the person working the ammonia refrigerating plant. So, if the water is soluble with this refrigerant, R12, if it is mixed with water, it is very corrosive to the metals. All these refrigerant, the ice should be formed which chokes the refrigeration valve or capillary with the use for the throttling to the system. So if the presence of water will cause the formation of ice, which will chokes the expansion valve. Achha. It may be avoided by proper dehydration of the refrigerant unit before charging and the use of silica gel dryer of the liquid line. So first you have to remove all sort of water because first is toxic to the surroundings, with your metals. Next, it will form the ice and choke the whole expansion device. So we have to thoroughly remove the water from it before it used. Then we have to use silica gel and in the dryer of the liquid line. Due to this reason, wet cut for ammonia is highly soluble water. So, and wetted cloth is put at the point of leak to avoid harm to the person for the ammonia refrigerant plant. This, because is wetted with water, it will absorb the leaked ammonia and it will not allow it to harm the users. Then miscibility. The ability of the refrigerant to mix with oil is called miscibility. Miscibility is the ability of the refrigerant to mix with oil. This is considered to be a secondary factor, but the degree of mixability depends on the temperature of the oil and the pressure of the refrigerating vapor. The Ferron group of refrigerants are highly mixable with oil, while ammonia, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, methyl chloride are relatively non-mixable. The degree of miscibility, what is this? That depends on the temperature of the oil and process pressure of the operating mixture. Mainly Ferron groups are highly miscible, but while ammonia other things, they are relatively less mixture with oil. The non-miscible refrigerant requires higher heat transfer surface due to pure heat conduction process properties of the oil. The mixability refrigerant are advantages from the heat transfer point of view. They gives better lubrication at the refrigerant acts as a carrier of oil to the moving parts. The mixable refrigerants also eliminate oil separation problems and acid in the return from the refrigerator. Next is effect on perishable metals. The refrigerant used in cold storage plant and domestic refrigerators would be such that in case of leakage, it should have no effect on the perishable liquid here. The refrigerant should not spoil the items which you are freezing. Now, from the group of refrigerant, we have no effect upon dairy products, meats, vegetables, flowers, parts. There is no change in color, taste, or texture of the material when exposed to the ferron. But methyl chloride vapors also have no effect upon farts, flowers, eating foods, or drinking beverage. The sulfur dioxide destroys the flowers, plants, and fart, but it does not affect the foods, ammonia dissolved foods. Ammonia dissolved easily in water, becomes alkaline in nature. Since most fruits and vegetables are acidic in nature, therefore ammonia reacts with the product and spoils the taste. So what we've seen, first of all, refrigerant should not have any perishable effect over your foods you are saving, you are preserving. But that should have any effect of for any leakage, that should not be any effect. The ferron group refrigerant don't have any effect over the foods, but the ammonia is a problem. Ammonia has a strong affinity of water, and when it is dissolved in the water and becomes alkaline, foods are mostly vegetables are acidic and they react each other, and the moisture spoils their taste. In underwater laboratories, USA, a classified refrigerant into USA classified into 6 groups, mainly on their group of toxicity. Group 1 refrigerant are most toxic, while group 6 refrigerant are less toxic. So what is shown here? Group 1 is here is the most toxic, here 1, and group 6 is less toxic here. When sulfur dioxide dissolved only easily